echoes of the Sunshine State. Redacted is his home. Lives a man named David Wright, who pens the great unknown. Diet Coke runs through his veins, a decoy wallet keeps him rich. Paranoia fuels his pen and creativity's his niche.
In this episode of Write, Publish, Repeat, we talk about the one thing I struggled with the most, getting flow. My guest, Sean Platt, has created a course just for me and now you called 10 Days to Flow. Also, Sean surprises me with something nearly as horrific as a box at the end of 7.
Write, publish, repeat, it echoes through the air. A chorus for creators, a call to those who dare. With cookies as his compass and a pen that won't retreat, he journeys through the pages. Write, publish, repeat.
Hello and welcome to Write, Publish, Repeat, your weekly podcast for writers looking to improve their craft. Today's episode, we're talking how to write with flow, and our guest is Sean Platt, who wrote an entire course just to get me out of my writing funk. Hello, Sean.
Hello.
You're late to the meeting today. I would like to know why, because you always give me shit when I'm late. So, wait. Before you say anything, were you making more fucking music?
Shockingly, I was not. I was actually on a call that it was one of those, it was like talking to my mom, actually. So, it's 5 minutes ahead and I'm preparing to end the call. I've got a hard stop. So I've been talking to my mom actually every single week for around 60 some weeks now, 70.
Wow.
Yeah, totally. And I never miss it. And
someone here is a good son making me look bad.
Well, it's because I was a bad son for like decades.
Oh, okay.
But she's getting older and I'm getting older, and I thought, you know what, I really want to talk to my mom. It was harder when my dad was alive but you know what, that's a whole nother show.
That's a therapy session.
That's another show. But essentially, yes, he passed away a couple of years ago, and I've made a very conscious effort to talk to her every week. And when we get to the end of the conversation, I always okay, I know we have 5 minutes to go. I'm going to have to navigate this. And right when it's like a minute, and Mom, I got to go. I have another call. And she'll say, okay. And then she'll open like a big giant question, like the kind of thing that is like, oh, well, that's 20-minute discussion.
Now I know where you get it from.
No joke. I do get that from her.
My mom's the same way, but actually she'll turn 1 minute into an hour.
Yeah, my mom's.
We should hook them up to be friends.
That would be great, actually. So yeah, this was a similar situation where I was at the end of the call and I'm like, I really, really, really got to go, but I didn't want to be rude and I knew I had a couple of minutes grace with you. But yes, to answer your question, I was not writing a song, although I have been absolutely obsessed lately. And not only, you know what, let's actually do a podcast where we talk about this, because for writers, it's an interesting marketing thing, how I'm trying to play with it and what I want to do it for. But you might think I'm fucking with you right now, but I'm actually recording a full album of songs for Write, Publish, Repeat.
Oh, fuck you.
I really
Wait. I already hate the intro song. Now you're making what, 9, 10 more?
I'm thinking 13 is a great number.
No, what?
No,
stop it. I'm gonna knock your internet out. I'm hiring a hacker to take you out.
It'll probably be an EP of like 6 songs. I don't know, but it won't be anything like the intro song. The intro song I would call the intro song more of a ditty than a song. These are more serious.
Ditty like with the parties and stuff.
No, I don't think we want to do that.
No, we don't. We want to be professional here.
But no, because, I mean, you've known me for 16 years, right?
God damn.
How many times have you seen me want to do lyric-based things, even though we didn't really call them lyric-based things? So, for example, my whole life as a writer started because I was basically trying to ape Eminem and write these children's poems, minus the misogyny and vulgarity, but like this, complicated rhythms.
Andrew Tate for kids.
That's where this all started, all the way back in the syllable soup days. Like I feel like I was born to write lyrics. I really like big ideas in a compact space, and that's what that kind of language is. And with these AI tools, I'm not interested in using them to help me generate prose because I can already do that. I'm interested in using AI to do things that I can't do otherwise. And even though if I can hear a song in my head, I don't have the musical ability. So it's kind of amazing to be able to describe that and then iterate through it and change the writing and all of that. So yes, I do have the first track, which I prepared for this episode, actually. You know what it's about? Yes, you know what it's about?
What?
It's about flow. No, it's about flow. It's called In Flow We Trust.
Oh, jeez.
And so
you're not going to make me listen to it, are you?
I am going to make you listen to it. And in fact, I'm going to make you listen to it live at the end of this show. When we do, let's talk about flow, which is this show, and then you can hear the track and you can tell me what you think live. It'll be like an unboxing video or a reaction video.
It'll also be like, hey man, nice shot for the end.
Well,
I'm burying my disturbing reference in song.
I
so
got
those
that.
that get it, and those who don't won't be offended. So yes, all right. Well, on with today's topic. So I was in a writing funk. I've always struggled with.
Dave, have you ever not been in a writing funk?
Well, yeah, I have moments of inspired brilliance or whatever, but the heart. Okay, so. For a year, when I was young, when I was a teenager, like I think 17, I first started working overnights at a gas station. And I was writing all the time. I was writing. But I was never like writing the same thing. Like I would get lost. I'd be like, oh, this sucks. And I'll move on to the next thing,
So almost like story doodles? Like you're doodling but with language?
Well, I would write many chapters. I would write a beginning or a middle or an end, but they'd never be to the same book.
Got it.
So I write cool scenes as a thought of them. I have seriously, I have like a folder like this thick. Like some of our stories have come from those things. So it wasn't wasted effort, but I did never finish anything. It
was your pre-story garden before you had a story garden?
Yes, it was my story pit. Yes. So I've always struggled with, the regularity. Wow. Flow and regularity. This sounds like a commercial for someone. Like
So consistency
brand
is your kryptonite, right?
Yes, it is. So, yeah, I struggle with that, and it's been a sticking point with us because we co-write, and Sean needs somebody to, rely on for deadlines, and I routinely miss the deadlines. So,
Routinely. Dave, have you ever made a deadline? Okay, wait, no. You made deadlines for like 2 years, and you did it. So here's the thing
it broke me.
Yeah. So for those of you keeping score at home, Dave actually was
go get your chart.
It was a journalist. Like he was a journalist, and this is what infuriate sounds like I'm angrier than I am, but frustrated. This is what's frustrated me forever with Dave is he had years before I met him, he had to hit deadlines as a journalist. And then for the first...
But to be fair, it's a different thing. Writing is easier in some ways and harder in others. Journalism, I had 3 stories an issue that I'd have to do, and we did like twice weekly, if I remember correctly. So a lot of that was researching. A lot of that was making phone calls and stuff. I wasn't constantly writing. It wasn't like... This is constantly writing, and at a pace that... sometimes I can do, and other times it's just hard.
Well, you did it great for the first year. When we were publishing, I remember telling you we need to do it every week. So this was in between. We had just launched Yesterday's Gone season 2, and we were halfway through season 2, and we were getting all of those comments that said things like, because we would launch a new episode every Tuesday. And
like 120 pages or so.
Yes. And the one comment that really crystallized in my head was someone said Tuesday is the new black, and they talked about how excited they were to show up every Tuesday and get the new episode. And I emailed you because we didn't have Slack yet. So I emailed you and I'm like, dude, Tuesday is the new black. You know what this means? It means we need another series. You're like, well, of course we need another series. And I'm like, no, we need it immediately. So I said, when, Walking Dead goes off the air, Mad Men is ready to take its place. I don't know if that was the exact thing, but
I think it is, actually.
It's like there's always a show to take its place, and we don't have a show prepped. And so you're like, when are we going to do this? I said immediately. And you said, do you remember what you said?
No, I don't. Was I crying?
I hate you.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Is what you said.
So you're like a guy, you find, I was going to use a car as an example, but instead I'm going to use a horse. You find this old, reliable horse, and this horse wins you some races, and he's steady, he's reliable. You can even ride him around the track if you want. And you're like, wow, he's really good. And then you're like, can we make him go faster, longer, and harder? And it's like,
Yeah,
I'm an old horse. You broke
for
me.
that year, I will confess to riding you like a rented mule. You know,
Yes.
it was, we needed to hit those deadlines. And to your enormous credit, we did. You were very consistent. Not only did you get your chapters done, you went over my chapters, and like we were very harmonic. And I think there were two things that happened. One was the deal with 47 North. So they signed us for
More books.
two series, and it was a lot harder working with them than it was just working with us. And the edits actually weren't as good as the ones that we were preparing for ourselves, and the deadlines were even harder.
And you know what? Now that you mention that, I remember as I was doing that whole process, I began to doubt myself during that time, because they're sending back edits that it didn't make sense to me, and they were just off. And
well, it wasn't the first one. It was the second book. So
Right,
they
I know.
changed editors, and the editor was saying things that clearly they hadn't read the first book.
yes.
And it was very difficult for us. We had to push back on some edits and explain why we were doing some certain things the way we were doing them. And then the edits still weren't very good, and there were typos, and it was very frustrating for us as a partnership. It was frustrating as artists. It was just frustrating. And so the pace, and then the results, the fact that, I don't know, on Monstrous, we made like $1.50 or something, right? So it was,
that disappointed me, because they put zero effort into advertising it, and they had for Z, but not for Monstrous.
do you remember what launch day was?
It was against. Was it fucking IRS Day? No, I don't.
Yeah,
remember.
it was April 15th. It was tax day.
Yeah.
and we said, this is the worst shopping day of the year. Are you sure this is
That's
a good launch
ironic
day?
as hell too.
And yeah, so the whole thing was disappointing start to finish, but fine, whatever. We'll get back on the horse, but we never did. And do you remember what else?
When a horse breaks his leg, he's not going to race
You're
again.
supposed to shoot the horse.
You're supposed to send him out to fuck a whole bunch of other horses.
Do you want to fuck other horses, Dave?
Not really.
So what happened at that same approximate time was I got a new mistress. Johnny came along, and I wrote Unicorn Western. And so it was like, I didn't even ride you hard. It was like, okay, if Dave's going to go do his own thing, I have a new horse. And so, you know, and this horse has
You're way too into horses.
head. This horse is a unicorn. So ever since then, like, no joke, Dave has not made a deadline since 2014, I want to say. So it's been 10 years. And I know that, like, now, 2025, I feel really good about. I feel like it's going to be your year. And for
To
those
be
of you
fair,
at
I've
home-
written like 50 fucking books in that time.
yes,
They're just not
just
on time.
never on deadline.
Right. So I'm still doing shit.
He still is absolutely doing shit. And I feel like this last couple of months has been really, really great for you. And I feel like you are, like, I'm seeing it on a week to week basis. Like, you're standing taller.
I'm winning.
Well, I said this at our meeting yesterday, but it's worth telling all the folks at home too. Dave wrote something, and it hit my desk earlier in the week. Maybe even it was last week, but it hit my desk, and I was prepared to, like, heavily edit it. And I didn't touch a fucking
Getting out
word.
the red pen.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of it. So Dave's a little later than he used to be, and a little sloppier than he used to be. And those are the things we're trying to correct. And dude, it was so good. Your writing was so good and so on point, and I can really feel you on the page. And this ties into the conversation about flow. I feel like flow and confidence are, I mean, they're yin and yang, right? You need both of those things. I think that confidence gives you flow, and flow gives you confidence. And I feel like confidence is what has been lacking in your writing for a long time. And I can see it on the page. And that's what, like, Johnny is a really fluid writer. Johnny's almost the other side. Johnny's too confident on the page sometimes, right? Where you're not confident enough on the page, and finding that like middle ground where you're just like showing up. I'm really seeing that now. And so I'm just really optimistic about 2025. And I think you are on the way to finding flow.
So in order to help me find flow, you tricked me by writing a course, asking me to look at it and edit it and go along with it, only to find out this course was just built for me.
Yes, pretty much.
But, you know,
I've said this a million times. I feel like you are way more of an avatar for our average listener or for the average person trying to write, publish, repeat.
Look at Sean calling all our listeners old, slow horses.
Not at all. But I do know that I'm an anomaly. Like
you are a freak. I've said that many times.
in a few ways. I was writing fast before it was the way that it was done. And it's not because I was trying to do anything special. It's because I didn't know that it was even fast. I wasn't writing fiction stories fast. In fact, the first thing I ever wrote was Penny to a Million, however many years ago, which was a children's book about fifth grade entrepreneur. And I wrote that in 2 weeks. And so I assumed it was garbage. Like I pretty much put it aside and assumed it can't be good because it was written fast. And the only reason I learned to write fast was because I was trying to save my house in 2008 and writing SEO articles at $5 a pop. And the only way to make money there was to write 20 of them a day. So we're talking 500-word articles. That's 10,000 words if you do the math. And
Jeez.
So I would write, we call that in Sterling and Stone now, we call that making cheese. And so if you make 10,000 words in a day, you made cheese. Now, I wasn't doing that with fiction. I was just doing it with SEO. But in a way, that's actually harder because you're starting 20 different things, right? Like 20 full-on articles. And so
each thing, and this is before AI could, help you in any way whatsoever. You had to do all the
this is
research,
all human brain power, right?
Yeah.
And so the biggest change I made was in 2009, 2010, learning to write copy. So I could go from a penny a word to $1 a word. And that's what changed. And once I had that speed built in and I could use it for copy, that changed everything. And then once Kindle came out, I could use that same speed, but instead of writing copy, I could write stories, which really lit me up, especially because that was our time to really work together. So we had worked together for a few years, but it was always doing copy or building websites or that kind of thing. And the prospect of, oh my God, we can actually just write stories and deliver them to an audience was so exciting.
Yes. So let's talk about the course. What's it called? What is it? And how are we giving it out to people?
So it's called 10 Days to Flow, and it's a free course. It's on the repeaters page. So if you're already a repeater, it's just right there up at the top. You can sign up to get it. If you're not a repeater, you can become a repeater at storymerchants.com/WPR/repeaters.
And we'll have a link in the video that you're watching.
Yes.
If you're watching the video, if you're listening audio, well, just rewind.
And yes, in all sincerity, it was kind of designed for Dave, because I do think that Dave needs these skills, but also I think they're universal. If you are an author, let me rephrase that. If you're a working author, if you're a working writer, not even an author, if you write SEO articles, even if you use AI to write SEO articles, you still need to find flow. You still need to be able to get the work done. You still need to be able to create on command. And that is a learnable skill. Yeah, I've learned it. I've taught it to countless writers at this point. So I understand the fundamentals, but I never put them out in any kind of a systematic way like that before. And so I thought 10 emails, that's very straightforward. There are some just principles that if you do these things, you can teach yourself flow.
And what I like, in the past, I'm also a cartoonist, so, I tend to have a skeptical sort of view on everything. Sometimes even cynical. Well, skeptical is better than cynical. Skeptical is like, I need proof. So,
Dave, do you find flow in your cartooning? Is it easier for you to...
Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Yes, and I'm doing some stuff behind the scenes right now. I'm doing a comic I used to do, and I want to have it back for my mother on Christmas because she's not read the comic in, I don't know, since we've been working together. I haven't done it since 2008. So,
and since you don't talk to her every week, this is your present.
This is my present to her. Like, you don't know how much my mother loved my comic, and I'll tell you the name of it in another episode.
Do you know that
perhaps.
my mother has never read one of my books?
Yet she loves Stephen King. What the fuck?
The only book of mine that she has read is Writer Dad, and because it talks about her. It also has one of my favorite lines that I've ever written in my entire life, which is, "My mother dresses like she's kidding."
I do love that. It does paint a very lovely picture. And we could sneak her into other books and just make her a character in every book, and she'll be forced to read them.
Oh, she's a character in a lot of books. In Robot Proletariat, book 5, she's a character straight up because Johnny met her when we were in LA for a Robert McKee conference, and we all went to El Torito together. And then when I was giving him beats, I'm like, literally write this character as my mother. And he did.
All right. So I got to get this back on track. I'm going off on a tangent here about your mother. So finding flow. Yes, it's easier for me to find flow in doing comics. I have more confidence there. And it's one of those things. Okay, so this is perfect that you brought that up. When I do a comic, I sit down and, I'll think of ideas all the time and I'll just write them down and just save them for later. But when I'm doing a comic, I sit down and it's a short, focused experience. I'm writing down what I want to do. I'm working out the words perfectly. And then I'm doing some sketches. I'm not doing the actual comic at this point where I'm talking about right now, but I'm planning it. And when I do that, I find flow because it's short. I get in, I get the shit done. I'm able to focus and boom, I'm ready. So when I'm ready to actually draw that comic and color it and all that stuff, it's there. It's easy. I don't have to think about it. So what you've created here, you started off with the 10-minute rule, which is a really good way to get my ass in the seat to start. Because I think the hardest part is, especially when you're behind a deadline or something, or you just got a lot going on, just, the world's falling apart, and the last thing you want to do is sit down in a chair and write a fucking story or write anything. And because you got just so much shit going on in your brain. But if you can sit down for 10 minutes and just focus on that one thing, well, a lot of times that 10 minutes might turn into 20.
It always does for me. And to be clear, even though I can find flow and I am a very consistent writer and I do write every day, I procrastinate like a motherfucker. Like if I don't
know how you have time. You do more than any human I know.
Well, I do, but like once I'm going, I'm very, very efficient. But sometimes, dude, I just have a hard time. And it's like once I'm going, I almost never have difficulty. But taking that first step is often very, very difficult. It's the resistance, which also is going to be another Write, Publish, Repeat album song. I'm going to write about resistance. So you just wait for that. But I do think that conquering resistance is the hardest thing. I think everything about writing gets easier once you knock resistance out of the way. And I feel like you can't really knock resistance out of the way until you make a decisive decision to, and sometimes that just means starting the clock. It just means, look, I'm out of time, and I do that sometimes. Like I'm to the wire. I'm like, okay, if I don't start this at 9:30, I will run out of time before lunch, and I cannot make it up. So I organize my day in 3 parts. I wake up very early, and I write until lunch. And that's maker time, and I'm very religious about that. So,
and that's writing creative or like content or both?
It's anything writing I need to create. Okay, like for me, content, like it's creation. It could be
like nonfiction blogs or whatever.
It could be nonfiction. It could be fiction. It's creation.
Okay.
And I get progressively stupider throughout the day. And I feel like that's true for everybody because if you think about it.
Not me. I get sharper. Well, it depends, but yeah, I won't.
If you're actually working though, that's not true because it's willpower, right? Your willpower diminishes throughout the day. That's just science. So writing is, think about all the micro decisions you're making as you write. right? Every line of dialogue is a decision. Every new paragraph is a decision. And so you're really taxing your emotional and psychological ability to make decisions. So I'm not as fast. I'm not as smart. I'm not as on my feet, in the afternoon. So maker time is all about the content that I need to create. From lunchtime, I take a 2-hour break every day.
Bubble bath.
No, I take my bubble bath before bed. I used to take my bubble bath during me time, actually. Now I take it, and there's never bubbles. It's just hot water. But I take it before bed now. But I do eat. I spend some time with Cindy.
Please add bubbles to that scenario, because now I'm picturing you without bubbles, and it's just disturbing.
I understand that. Okay, so there's full bubbles.
Okay, good.
But I eat and I nap, and then I get back on, and the rest of the day until dinner is...
How long do you nap?
30 minutes to an hour.
And that works?
Oh yeah. And I never need to. I do set an alarm just in case, but I always wake up like,
If I try and take a nap during the day, it's hard, first of all. But if I manage to, I'm going to sleep 5 hours.
Oh no,
I can't get up.
Very, very trained, but it's because I do it every day and I do it at the same time. So my brain knows, I'm laying down. I fall asleep in 5 minutes and I wake up 30 minutes later, usually no more than an hour. I never sleep more than an hour. Mm-hmm. And then I'm back. And then the rest of the time is manager time. And that's meetings, Slacks, emails, all the basic communication that I need to do during the day.
And is that podcast as well?
Yeah, absolutely. That's why right now it's 2:37. So it's definitely after that time. And then after this call, I have a ghostwriting client that I'm talking to.
Okay, so yes, just starting is, that's the hard part, and it's kind of like, I got myself, walking, and I haven't walked as much as I need to, but I lost a lot of weight and I was walking, and one of the things I did while I was walking was listening to Atomic Habits by James Clear.
Oh yeah,
he's talking about breaking stuff down and just getting out, getting your shoes on and getting out, even if you're just going to walk a minute. So it kind of like, this sort of has that feel for, how you start and getting you into and past the whole resistance stage. So what are some of the things that people can do in just 10 minutes? Like, because I think a lot of people, especially, if you have family, you have a job and stuff, you're struggling to get time in. And then when you finally do sit down for 10 minutes, what can you even do in that amount of time?
I think what you want to do is focus on the thing that you can do and feel good about it. So if you expect to write a full entire chapter and then you're not going to be able to do that in the 10 minutes and you're going to feel defeated, that kind of sucks. Like then when you come back the next day, you feel behind. And I know that you probably suffered from this when you feel behind.
All the time, yeah.
Right? It's very hard to feel ahead. And when you don't feel ahead, you never feel like you're winning. I feel like if you need flow and you need confidence, you need to feel like you're winning. So if I only have 10 minutes, what is the thing that I can do in 10 minutes? Is it make up a character's name? I mean, it could be as simple as that. Give somebody a motivation. Write like a really killer opening sentence to a chapter. Even if it takes you 10 minutes to think of the greatest opening paragraph, and then that's where you pick up from tomorrow, that's actually a victory. Where if you think, I need to get 1,000 words in, or I need to get in 400 words, if you set a goal that is iffy, that you can accomplish it in 10 minutes, I don't think that's the best approach. I think that identifying an easy win and then allowing yourself to feel, don't be stupid. Don't say 5 words. I'm going to write 5 words right now. Like, make it something
done.
Yes, make it simple, straightforward, but also substantive.
So what are some of the other things? Because obviously, we don't want to talk about the whole damn thing because it'll take 5 hours. This is a 10-day course, and each day is, you're with the person reading, you're with the person that signed up for this, and you're helping them. Each day adds a little bit of, like a skill set, I guess, like in a video game.
I would say that, yes, absolutely. I think you're always leveling up, right? So in Final Fantasy, you start out with like no hit points. You have to gain these, right? And I do think leveling up is a really good analogy here. And I think one mistake I see a lot of creators make is looking at what works for other people and then trying to copy that thing. And I think this is what we were talking about at the top of the hour, was that I'm weird and you're more like the average, writer. And in that, I don't mean average as in average. I mean like the mean result, right? Where you're looking at what I'm doing, and if you try to copy what I'm doing, or if, a typical writer out there tries to copy what I'm doing, and I have not just a different brain that's just wired to bulldoze ahead, but also I've got 15 years of muscle memory. Like that matters. Like you can't go to the gym the same. Okay, so I never go to the gym, right? Ever. My son goes to the gym religiously. If he and I were to go to the gym together and I tried to work out like him, I would hurt myself and I would be in a lot of pain because I would be trying to keep up with him and my body can't do that. I sit on my ass all the day. Like I walk, I try to take care of my health, but I don't go to the gym. I do not put my body through the same thing that he puts his body through. And if I tried, I would fail. And so it's really important to tap into what your natural rhythms are as a creator. What are you good at? How do you succeed? So we've talked like the entire time we've known each other, you've been trying to get on a day schedule, right? And I think that it's good for you to be on some sort of a day schedule because that's where the world operates. But that doesn't mean that you create when you shouldn't get up at 4:30 in the morning and start writing like I do. That would be ridiculous for you, right? What you're saying is you get better as time goes on. That doesn't mean that the same principle applies where your willpower diminishes over time, but you might need a few hours to warm up and to have breakfast.
I need at least 8 hours to wake up.
And then once you get going, that will start to, take a toll. Another thing that I really feel a lot of creators get in their own head is trying to make the words perfect as they go along and not treating writing and editing as different parts of the process. If you are editing as you're going, good luck finding flow. It's a different thing. You're not going to find flow if you're constantly tweaking your paragraphs. Editing is editing and writing is writing. So it doesn't mean I never tweak because of course I do.
Yeah.
If you see something that needs to be fixed right now, you fix it, especially if it's a continuity issue or something like that. But if it's just language issues, of course, I like to fine tune everything. But if I do that while I'm writing, I'm only getting in the way of writing. I really need to try to tap into speed because the faster I write, the closer I'm getting to my most natural speaking voice, which is the best voice that I have. So I always want to write now and know that I'm going to edit later, even if I'm tweaking a little bit. I want
like
to
a Lightning McQueen here.
Pre-writing is also a really good strategy, and that goes back to your 10-minute thing. Maybe you don't have 10 minutes to write, but you still want to keep the 10 minutes because consistency is how you build this habit. So maybe all you can do in that 10 minutes is prepare for tomorrow. And that's a really powerful way to spend 10 minutes.
Yeah. And that's, kind of how I do my comics because I don't have the luxury of hours to sit down and do comics. So, I find little moments here and there when I'm able to just, whip out. I always have a book with me. I carry it everywhere, and I'll either write down story ideas or I'll write down comic ideas. And I've always got that little thing that I can do when, I'm supposed to be paying attention to family and stuff. Like I can focus on the real things that matter. One of the things, though, that you talk about in this course, which is something that I think really hit home for me, and I knew about it before, taking this course, but it kind of cemented the idea in my head, and that is, the importance of accountability, having somebody that holds you accountable. Because before I met you, like I said, I had lots of seeds in my garden, but no trees, no plants even. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until I met you and I had somebody counting on me and working with me sort of in the ditches or whatever that I had somebody that was in this invested in me in a way that made it real to me. And like, oh, this is a real story. I'm a real writer. I got to fucking finish this. And even though late on my deadlines all the time, I was a lot worse before I met you. I never finished anything.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And I think that you are already exponentially better than you would be if you weren't accountable to me or the company or you are a warm, kind-hearted human. Like you,
Fuck you.
I know I'm fucking with your branding here, but it's
Fuck
true.
you.
It is true. You are so much cuddlier than you come across.
Oh, stop.
And the
Now you're
last
making
thing you
fat
want to
jokes.
do is let people down. And so I know that's something that gets in your head and does drive you forward. I think that being accountable is hugely important. For me, I'm accountable to the company. I'm accountable to my family. I'm accountable to myself. Like, I do think you can be accountable to yourself. For a lot of people, it's not enough. For a lot of people, for me, again, I'm weird. If I make a deadline, it's enough for me. Like my personal deadlines, I actually rarely ever miss. But I know that's weird. If I
You are
and
weird.
even having said that, I'm still more likely to miss a deadline that I've made for myself than one I've made either publicly or for the company. So there are ways to be accountable. Obviously, having a writing buddy, having a community, and we're actually putting something together for that. The author velocity thing that we're talking about won't be ready until January, but that's exactly the problem we're trying to solve. Like, what is the accountability? But even if you don't have an accountability partner or a group, another way being accountable is to say something publicly, right? So
Go into a crowded restaurant and shout,
Well, no,
I'm going to write
actually-
400 pages.
dude, I just did it. I just said,
You did that in a restaurant?
no, I just said the author velocity thing, which will be ready January.
Okay.
Right.
Yes.
We've been kicking this around a little while. We're still not totally done with it. And by saying that right now out loud, there's a part of me that's like, fuck, got to get that in gear. Got to get that finished off.
Yes, you do.
Because I think that if you say something, publicly accountable, even if you say it on Facebook or whatever, the fact that it's out there in the world, that lives with you. If you don't do the thing that you said you're going to do, there are other people in the world who know that.
And you're a loser. Okay. So, is there anything else that we want to talk about real quick before you play this god-awful song and torture me?
I would say that something else really important. So it's about building the habit. It's about reasonable expectations. Let's go back to the gym analogy, right? If I did decide I'm going to go to the gym, 47.
Orange Theory.
I did do Orange Theory. Do you know,
I know.
why I stopped going to Orange Theory?
What's that?
Do you know why I stopped going to Orange Theory?
Because it's expensive as hell.
No,
Oh.
I actually was perfectly happy with it. I got, when they first opened in my neighborhood, I got like a lifetime deal for $99 a month.
So why'd you
And-
stop going? That's expensive to me.
No, I really, really loved it because, again, it's a willpower thing. I didn't want to decide what my workout was. I wanted to go and have somebody tell me exactly what to do for 45 minutes and then walk back home. And it was at the bottom of the hill where I worked. So it was no decisions. I knew I could go 3 days a week and I could have somebody else tell me, now ride your bike for 20 minutes, lift those
So
weights for
like
10
a
minutes.
coach.
Yeah, exactly. I just wanted a coach.
I
wanted.
didn't realize that's what they did there. They
Oh yeah, you
coached
work in a
directly.
team and you have these.
We don't have them where I am.
You have like a watch that has
Yeah.
like a wristband and it's taking your vitals or whatever, and then there's a screen and you try to stay in the orange zone. So you're moving, and if you drop out of the orange zone, you're not moving fast enough. And so I really
Well, you're
liked
dead.
Dude, it's exactly what we're talking about. Orange Theory for me was author velocity. It was accountability. I'm going to be with this group. I'm going to get my stuff done. And I bought the kind of thing I would want to sell, right? I stopped going because of COVID. And, it closed down. And then once they opened up, I was like, fuck that. And so I totally stopped going. And then we moved and they still text me like twice a month. Like,
Where are you, Sean?
yeah, totally. But I think, so if I was going to start going to the gym again, I would want to be very conscious of building a sustainable practice. So I wouldn't say I'm going to go to the gym every single day because I know I won't. Even if I start out for the first couple of weeks, that's not sustainable for me. I have too many other things that are important to me that I'm trying to fit into my life. So going to the gym every day like my son does it's not a priority for me. And when I was going to Orange Theory, I specifically went 3 days a week. I know what I'm going to do, and that makes it really easy to be sustainable. And if you're talking about a consistent writing practice and being able to tap into flow, you can't be parabolic. You can't be all over the place. You have to be steady. And that means giving yourself goals that you can consistently hit. And, going back to James Clear, who is an excellent habit architect, right? And he's all about habit stacking. You need to do the little things so that you could do the medium things so that you could do the big things. If you start out trying to do the big things without having the muscles to do the little or medium things, you're going to have a really, really hard time sustaining that, even if you have a really successful first week or whatever.
And if you're like me, you'll hate yourself for it. You'll be like, well, I suck. I'm obviously not going to do this, so I'm not even going to try, and just give up.
Yes. And when you feel bad about yourself, it's very hard to feel good on the page. Like it is.
You're talking about me again.
I think that being able to tap into those easy wins, if you take one thing away from this as a listener, that's it. Set yourself up for easy wins so that you can daisy chain them. Do you know the Jerry Seinfeld thing with the right
the calendar? Yeah.
So yeah, he has a calendar and he writes a joke every single day, no matter what, right? And then he puts a red X on the calendar, and it's about not ever having a day without a red X. And that's what your 10 minutes can be. Just if it's pre-writing, do it. If it's getting an opening line, do it. If it's developing a character or whatever it is, but be consistent. Say, if you're a working writer and you want to build that habit, then you need to make it important to yourself and make it a habit. And that means showing up. And maybe you can't do it at the same time each day. Like, I think that's the absolute best way. If you can show up at the same time, then your brain knows, oh, it's writing time. It's creative time. It doesn't mean you won't procrastinate, because again, I do. But if you show up each day at the same time and place, that's optimum. However, that's also not realistic for a lot of people. A lot of people have real jobs, right? And families and
shift work where they work in the morning, at night. Yeah.
So, like schedules, all of that. So if you can't show up at the same time and place every day, you can still show up for the same time interval every day. You can say, I am making a 10-minute commitment, no matter what. And if you can't make a commitment for 10 minutes a day, then you probably can't say, I'm a working writer. Like, because 10 minutes it's a low bar. It's like, again, I don't go to the gym, I don't exercise that much, but I hold plank every day for 1 minute, because if I can't hold plank for 1 minute, then what kind of an asshole am I? Like 1 minute, I'm asking for 1 minute. So I have like a streak of, I don't even know how many days that I've held a 1 minute plank, because it's a very achievable.
Out in public. Sean's planking. All right. So where can people get this? And I guess I'll do the CTA now, or should we do it after the song? I don't know.
Do you really want to hear the song? I'm so excited.
Not really, but I guess, yeah.
All right, hold on. Let's see.
I am curious. If I hate it, it's going to be really hard to sit here and like.
All right, I'm going to play it.
Into you.
I'm going to play it, and then you just tell me, okay, I've heard enough, and I'll stop it whenever you want me to stop it. Deal?
All right. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Here we go.
Let me get my gun.
Is that right?
It's missing. It killed itself.
Oh my God! I don't.
Self-deleted.
Why isn't this opening? There we go.
No. It's really low. You're trapped in a fortress your own hands have made. Resistance wears armor, it's grip cold and tight. It lures you to scroll through distractions at night. You fail, it keeps hissing, why bother to try? Each thought is a chain and it binds where you lie. The clock ticks louder, each second a drum. Okay, I don't hate it, but it's hard to hear, and I don't want to subject the listeners to that. We can add it to the end of the episode, or maybe upload it so people can listen to it on their own.
Yeah, I actually, no shit, I want to make a lyric video, and I want to publish it to you.
Oh my God. Please stop. Okay. So where can people get this?
Storymerchants.com/WPR/repeaters.
Repeaters, plural. And this is absolutely free. And, like Sean said with the whole coaching thing at Orange Theory, like when I struggle with writing or anything, I like for somebody that's already doing it or knows how to do it to just tell me, so I can, because I'm thinking about a billion different things, and I have OCD and ADHD and all these other things, so I really struggle with discipline and order, and just having this to look at since I've done it is really helped me just write, publish, and repeat. So,
oh, I like how you did that.
Yes, well, it wasn't intentional. I'm just great. Anyway, so thank you all for listening. Thank you for being on, Sean, and we'll see you next week. I don't know what the topic is, but it'll be a surprise to everybody.
Ooh, mystery box. I like your mystery box, Dave. You know what? Right. The mystery box works better when you know what's in it, though.
No. I think 7 is a perfect example for...
Yes, but David Fincher knew what was in the box.
No, he just got really mad at Gwyneth Paltrow one day and said,
J.J. Abrams is an example of mystery box, storytelling where he doesn't really know what's in the box. And it becomes more evident by the season.
All right, just like your mom, you're going off and taking this into another 10-minute conversation. So I'm going to say goodbye, everybody, and thank you for listening. And see you next... Oh. Also, our person that's editing these videos and stuff has told me to like, comment, and subscribe and all that stuff. But seriously, for real comments, like if you want to leave a comment below the video of like the things you struggle with, whether it's flow or whatever... It will help us in future videos. Like, what do you struggle with? Just leave a comment and let us know.
Yeah, that's great.
All right. Adios.
See you next week.
Hello, Dave from the future here. It is Saturday night, and I stepped away from what I was doing because I realized we didn't have an appropriate reaction to the song because I didn't get to listen to it on air. So I listened to it off, after we got off, and decided to record this little extra whatever at the end to tell you my deeply concerning thoughts about what I listened to.
There's a shadow on the page, a thief cloaked in lies. It whispers, not today, while your confidence dies. The echoes of failure cut sharp like a blade. You're trapped in a fortress your own hands have made. Resistance wears armor, its grip cold and tight. It lures you to scroll through distractions at night. You'll fail, it keeps hissing, why bother to try? Each thought is a chain and it binds where you lie. The clock ticks louder, each second a drum. The silence grows heavier, the words never come. The page lies barren, a battlefield of doubt. You scream in the dark, but no courage comes out. Flow isn't forced, it's a wave you command. It reshapes the hours with the pen in your hand. No breaks, let the rhythm combust. It's the fire inside you, in flow we trust. Draw the first line, like a blade through the fog. Each word ignites brighter, like the clearing of smog. The whispers grow weaker as you silence the doubt. Your hand starts moving and the words pour out. The walls start to shudder, the chains start to break. Each stroke of the pen leaves a scar in their wake. Resistance retreats, its armor laid bare. Each sentence a triumph, defiance declared. Resistance recoils as your courage takes hold. You guard through hesitation, let the story unfold. The fortress is falling, the gate swinging wide, and you step from the rubble with nothing to hide. Flow's not a gift, it's a battle you win. A tide that you conquer from deep within. No fears, no chains, let the current adjust. It's the rise of your story, in the flow we trust. Words flow freely like rivers untamed. Each line a reflection of the strength you've reclaimed. The echoes of doubt fade like smoke in the air, replaced by the fire of a story laid bare. Time bends around you, the world slips away. The ink on the page turns the night into day. What once was a struggle now feels like a dance. You've broken resistance, seized your chance. The ink is your blood and the page is your heart. Every stroke of the pen tears resistance apart. The shadows have vanished, the story is clear. Proof of your courage that silenced the fear. Flow is your weapon, the forge and the flame. It rewrites the silence and reclaims your name. No doubts, no end, just the ink and the dust. It's the heart of creation, in flow we trust.
now, it started off okay, kind of like Linkin Park maybe, back in the day, and then it veered into like boy band sort of vocals, and then you had the tom-toms and the horns, and I didn't vibe with that at all. So all I know is there's probably like 9 more of these things coming, and I can't stop Sean. It's impossible. So I don't know. What did you think? Leave a comment below. Did you like the song? Did you hate it? Should somebody break Sean's fingers before he makes another one? Let me know below. See you next time.
Write, publish, repeat. It echoes through the air. A chorus for creators, a call to those who dare. With cookies as his compass and a pen that won't retreat, he journeys through the pages. Write, publish, repeat.